What is going on, guys? DragonTamerBlayde here, back from our Elder Scrolls Legends, and today we have another monthly card discussion. The monthly card was announced today for May. It is Hulking Mummy. It'll be on the screen already. Hulking Mummy is a 4-cost, 6/6 mummy creature. Let's get on into kind of some comparisons, and we'll talk about how I plan to use it and stuff like that. So the quickest initial comparison that you could probably find for a Hulking Mummy would be something like, where are you? Imprisoned Deathlord, which is a 4-cost 7/7, so better stats than Mummy by +1/+1. However, Imprisoned Deathlord gets shackled whenever an enemy creature is summoned, whereas Hulking Mummy just shackles itself right away, and that's it. So the important thing to remember about shackling itself right away is it will not only miss the current turn for attacking, because obviously all creatures besides charged creatures miss their first turn of being able to attack. The Mummy will miss its next turn as well, so it has to wait 2 turns before being able to attack. But after that, it functions as if it's a normal creature. Imprisoned Deathlord can be repeatedly shackled. So it's something to keep in mind. Another similar card, and a card that this card would be theoretically fighting for space in your deck with, depending on your deck type, would be Blayde Troll. 4-cost 5/5 with a potential slight upside, and no other downsides to the card. It does not shackle itself, it just functions as a normal creature. So this kind of sits in between Blayde Troll and Imprisoned Deathlord. What does that mean? It means, I would say, for the most part, most decks will probably just run Blayde Troll instead of Hulking Mummy, because Blayde Troll, while it is slightly weaker overall, being able to attack right away means 5 extra damage. So if just both the 2 creatures were attacking and nothing else was happening, your opponent didn't remove them, in Magical Fantasyland, you have a 5/5 and a 6/6. The 5/5 can attack right away, and the 6/6 is delayed by a turn. It would take... what would it take? 5 turns? 6 turns for them to catch up to each other? Because the 5/5 would attack 6 times for 30 damage, and then the 6/6 would only attack 5 times for 30 damage. So it would take, with the 1 turn of delay for the shackling, it would take 6 turns for Hulking Mummy to be equally as good as Blayde Troll, not counting buffs or favorable trades or anything like that. So I think for the most part, you're probably just going to want to run Blayde Troll over Hulking Mummy in general. However, I think the situation where the decision making can get a little bit more murky would be something in, like, we've played, I don't know if I still have the deck list saved or not, but we played a fair amount of Silence Warrior. So you're running things like Shadowfen Priest, Corpus Disease you're running, just to get a silence and +2/+0. You could potentially be running Bone Bow, you could be running Suppress, or that new card Hush. You've got a lot of different options for silencing your own creatures, and in that type of deck, Hulking Mummy gets a little bit more interesting. So it could potentially, take Corrupted Shade's spot in the deck. Again, it gets a little tight. These 4-drops, there's a lot of competition in Silence Warrior in that 4-drop slot. Corrupted Shade is a card that you may choose to cut in favor of Hulking Mummy. Cursed Spectre, not a lot of Silence Warrior decks are running it, but it is a potential option. You may choose to cut Imprisoned Deathlord in favor of Hulking Mummy. Imprisoned Deathlord, obviously being bigger, is better when it is silenced. However, in the off situation where you have to just play the creature and not silence it right away, Hulking Mummy is better than Imprisoned Deathlord, where silence is not taken into account. So you may run Hulking Mummy just as a more consistent fallback plan than Imprisoned Deathlord. And when you have cards like Knight of Order, which are basically a must-have in a silence deck, or self-silence deck, you're really running into a lot of competition for that 4-drop slot. So there's a chance that you have to choose just 1 or 2 of those bad boys. Other situations where you may consider running Hulking Mummy, and I think the article mentions this as well. Where is he? Skinned Hound? There he is. Skinned Hound. 2-cost 2/1 can give your Hulking Mummy +2 health and guard, making him a 6/8 with guard. So it can kind of mirror what people used to do when they couldn't set up their Siege Catapult yet. They would just play this thing down and give it guard with Siege Catapult, and it'd be a 2-cost 5/7 guard. So Skintown can make Hulking Mummy a bit better, and Skintown probably could be run in those same types of Self-Silence Warrior decks. It's a good way to kind of make sure you get value out of the card, and you can run things like Squish the Wimpy as well. A card being shackled does not mean that it cannot battle. So, if Hulking Mummy is shackled, you can use Squish the Wimpy to kind of get that immediate value out of the creature if you need the body to trade, or you have things like U-Shield, or I think Legion Shield is the name of the card, that can give your creature guard if you don't want to run Skinned Hound, but honestly, Skinned Hound is probably just better to run most of the time. Do I have... I wish there was a way to search decks, but I don't think I have the deck list saved any longer. Yeah. What else do we have going on here? I'm trying to think of... I don't want to just say, like, Self-Silence Warrior, the end. Covenant Mail, I guess, is another way to give it guard. East Empire Crafter as well. Or, if you want to give it Breakthrough with Squish the Wimpy, Berserker of the Pale. I guess works with Hulking Mummy. This is definitely one of the, I guess, narrower monthly cards that we've gotten. This fits into a very specific type of deck, and in all other types of decks, I think it's just outclassed by Bleak Coast Troll. However, this is, I guess, a slightly less common synergy for it. If we do get more types of effects in the future, like Dress Renegade, wherever, he's right here, other friendly creatures are immune to shackle, so after the first turn, Hulking Mummy would unshackle himself and be able to attack. So, if I don't think just Dress Renegade is enough to run like a self-silent sorcerer deck. I still think Warrior would be better. However, just another one or two cards along the lines of Dress Renegade, and if they were to happen to be in Intelligence, you could potentially look at along the lines of running some sort of self-silent sorcerer deck, and at that point, obviously Dress Renegade and whatever other cards you gain would be a huge benefit in that situation. What else do we have going on overall? This guy's a mummy. There's not enough mummies to ever warrant running any sort of mummy tribal. Yeah, we have 2 mummies in the game at the moment. This will be number 3. So we're not getting close yet, but it's at least interesting. Something to keep an eye on if we continue to get mummies in the future. I don't think Wake the Dead can pull this card. Yeah, Spirit or Skeleton. So I don't even think that you can pull Hulking Mummy with Wake the Dead either. So it's, like I said, it's a little bit narrow. Let's scroll through some of the other purple cards or some of the other red cards and see what else it could fit with. So we're going to focus in on the 4-drop slot in a theoretical Self-Silence Warrior. The only other card I think from red that you may see some competition with would be something like Lumbering Ogrim, which is sometimes run in Self-Silence Warrior, just because of the stats, or something like Nervous Giant. Both of these guys work as well. I think Hulking Mummy, believe it or not, is actually a little bit better than Nervous Giant in Self-Silence Warrior, even in an unsilenced scenario. Obviously, when they're both silenced, Hulking Mummy wins out. They're both 4 cost, they both have 6 attack, but Hulking Mummy has the 1 extra health. However, I think I would rather my creature be shackled for 2 turns than die to 1 damage. 1 damage is common enough, especially in the early turns, on turns 1, 2, 3, when people are playing their Thieves Guild Recruits to cycle, or whatever other card. There's a lot of 1-attack creatures that get played in the early game. I would rather my card be shackled for 2 turns than to die to one of those low-power creatures. So I think in a Self-Silence Warrior deck, if you were running Nervous Giant, you could probably cut it for Hulking Mummy. And that's probably it in the Self-Silence Warrior zone. I don't think there's anything in the dual color department that is going to change my mind. I don't think so. No. Yeah, so the biggest thing would be it is direct competition, and you would have to decide between... Essentially, in your Self-Silence Warrior deck, it's going to come down to Imprisoned Deathlord, Corrupted Shade, Bleak Coast Troll, Hulking Mummy, and Lumbering Ogrim, and Nervous Giant. And you're going to probably choose maybe 2 or 3 of those cards to run. Because no matter what, in your Self-Silence deck, you're going to be rocking Knight of Order because it's too good. If you have Knight of Order, you're going to run it. So it's going to be 3 4-drops right there. And then theoretically, you're going to choose 2 or 3 of those other 4-drops to run, putting your total 4-drop count at 9 to 12-ish, more than likely. This is all hypothetical as well. Obviously, you can run more 4-drops if you feel comfortable doing so, but I'm feeling like 9 to 12 is probably the sweet spot for that kind of deck. So there's just more competition in a pretty competitive slot in a obviously off-meta deck, but I will say Self-Silence Warrior is a very fun deck to play. So I would definitely encourage you to give it a shot, and we'll be giving it a shot once Hulking Mummy releases at the end of the month. But yeah, it's kind of comes down to it's good in one specific deck at the moment, and possibly more in the future if Dress Renegade ever has its effects spread a little bit more. And in that specific deck, it's not even the best card in that slot, but it gives you some more interesting decisions to make in that deck. And it's good with Skinned Hound, and Skinned Hound is a really good card. But yeah, that's going to be it for now, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the monthly card, and if there's any other ways you're planning on using it that I didn't think of. Yeah, let me know down below in the comments section. Thank you guys all very much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.